Forests are supposed to be peaceful, places of beauty and escape. But when the sun sets and the shadows creep in, the woods become something else entirely. A place of fear, whispers, and things that should not exist. These are true encounters from people who ventured into the woods and came back with nightmares. I love camping. The quiet, the isolation. It's always been my escape from the noise of everyday life. That's why one weekend, I decided to go deep into the forest alone. I had done this plenty of times before, so I wasn't worried. The first night was peaceful. I set up my tent, started a fire, and just enjoyed the stillness of the woods. The only sounds were the occasional crack of the fire and the distant rustling of trees in the wind. At least, that's what I thought. At some point I heard something, a whisper, faint, almost like the wind was carrying a voice through the trees. I didn't think much of it at first, brushing it off as my imagination. But then I heard it again, and this time, it was unmistakable. It was saying my name. I froze. My body went cold. I told myself it wasn't possible. No one knew I was here. No one. I slowly unzipped my tent and peeked outside, scanning the darkness. My fire had died down to embers, casting just enough light to see a few feet in front of me. But beyond that, just pitch black woods. I held my breath, straining my ears for any sound. Nothing. Trying to shake the feeling, I crawled back inside my tent. Maybe I was just tired. Maybe I had imagined it. But as I lay back down, my heart still hammering in my chest, I heard it again. Clearer this time. Closer. Right behind my tent. A slow, deliberate whisper, stretching my name in a way that made my skin crawl. It didn't sound human. It didn't sound right. I shot up, fumbling for my flashlight, but before I could turn it on, everything went silent again. I sat there, frozen, waiting, listening. And then, something pressed against the side of my tent. I didn't scream. I didn't move. I just held my breath, gripping my flashlight so tight my hands ached. And then, it was gone. I don't remember packing up. I don't remember how fast I hiked back to my car. But I do remember one thing. As I walked away, just before I left the clearing, I heard it one last time. A whisper from the darkness. Don't come back. And I never did. We thought it would be just another winter hike. There were 4 of us, me, Mark, Jake, and Lisa. The trail was quiet, the kind of silence that felt peaceful at first. But as the sun started dipping behind the mountains, that silence started to feel unnatural. That's when we saw it. A cabin, tucked deep into the woods, far from any marked path. It looked old, too old to still be standing. The windows were boarded up, and the door hung slightly open, like it had been waiting for someone to step inside. We should have turned back. But curiosity got the better of us. The second we stepped in, we knew something was wrong. The air was heavy, stale, and the walls, they were covered in symbols. Deep scratches dug into the wood, as if someone had carved them in a frenzy. Mark ran his hand over one of them. The moment he touched it, he shuddered, said he felt a chill crawl up his spine. We laughed it off, but something in his face told me he wasn't joking. Then the door slammed shut. Hard. Jake rushed to open it, wouldn't budge. That's when we heard it. Movement outside. Through the cracks in the wood, we saw them. Figures. Shadowy, motionless figures standing in the trees. Watching us. Their eyes, if you could even call them that, were hollow. Empty. No one spoke. No one moved. Then, without warning, the door suddenly gave way. We stumbled out, running, not looking back. But the figures, they didn't chase us. They just stood there watching. We never spoke about it again. But sometimes, late at night, I still feel like something is watching. And I know. We were never supposed to leave that cabin. Lucas had always loved hiking. Something about being alone in nature brought him peace. But this time he had gone too deep. He didn't realize it at first, but as the hours passed and the trees all started to look the same, a sinking feeling set in. He was lost. His phone had no signal. The sun was dipping lower. Panic crept in as he tried to retrace his steps, but every direction felt wrong. Then he saw him. A man, standing just ahead on the path. He hadn't been there a second ago. The man wore an old coat, tattered at the edges, and a wide-brimmed hat that shadowed most of his face. Something about him felt off, but Lucas was too desperate to care. "Lost?" the man asked. His voice was calm, almost too calm. Lucas exhaled, relieved. "Yeah, I don't know how I got so turned around." The man smiled, his teeth just barely visible under the shadow of his hat. He motioned for Lucas to follow. Lucas hesitated for only a second before stepping behind him. As they walked, the forest felt different, quieter, too quiet. No wind, no rustling leaves, no distant animal sounds, just silence, and time felt strange. The walk seemed endless, yet Lucas couldn't remember how far they had gone. The trees all looked the same, stretching into the darkness like a never-ending tunnel. Then suddenly, as if out of nowhere, the man stopped. Lucas looked ahead. A road. His heart leapt in his chest. He was safe. A car was parked just a few feet away. Lucas turned back to thank the man, but he was already walking into the trees. "Wait." The man turned one last time, smiling, and then he was gone. No sound, no footsteps, just gone. Lucas stood there trying to process what had just happened. Then his eyes landed on the car's window, and his stomach dropped. In the glass, he saw his own reflection, the trees, the empty road behind him, but no man. He had never been there, or had he? If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Leave a like if you love creepy stories and let me know in the comments. Would you ever go back to that forest? Or would you burn the map and never look back? Thanks for watching, and remember, some places were never meant to be found.